Hello, beautiful people. Summer Game Fest dropped again, and I missed the show. It aired pretty late by my side, and I enjoy the little sleep I can get. But also, I've never been one for big spectacle, and Jeff Keighley legitimately scares me. It's his eyes, like a doll's eyes. But some good stuff was shown, and instead of wasting more time, let's jump into it. Firstly, we had a few beat-em-ups shown. Excited for Cosmic Invasion. Loved Shredder's Revenge, so this is a no-brainer for me. Rocket and She-Hulk look fun to play, but I'll probably main Spider-Man because I remain a fanboy to this day. Acts of Blood takes a lot of inspiration from action films and a dash of Sifu with its intense knuckle-busting action, and some fun parkour. There's a demo out now to try if you want. We're getting a new Scott Pilgrim game, EX version, another beat-em-up from Tribute Games. They're really busy lately and it looks just as good as Cosmic Invasion. Interesting to see the game that sort of started a revival of beat-em-ups square off against its contemporaries. Even if it's the same company that's making those contemporaries. I'm still amped to play it, and jammed to a new Anamanaguchi soundtrack. Wu-Tang: Rise of the Deceiver is an RPG spectacle fighter that we didn't really see much about. The trailer had about 4 seconds of gameplay, but visually it looks impressive. And there's some good hammer action, which I'm a fan of. But we'll have to wait and see more of what it's about. Stranger Than Heaven is a new action game from the creators of the Yakuza series, and it looks right up my alley. Set in a smoky 1915 Japan that's constantly soaked in rain and cigarette smoke. I'm really loving the atmosphere of this one, and hope it's good and worth getting into. Lastly, we have Felt That Boxing, which looks like a punch-out comedic boxing game where you just watch your little puppet get beaten to a pulp. There's nothing more that needs to be said. We also saw a few interesting indies announced and shown off. Ball Cross Pit is incredibly hard to describe. Arkanoid mixed with a city builder, but also roguelike. Just looking at it makes me a bit cross-eyed. But consider me interested. There's a demo to try out. I did, and it was pretty fun. Bit more Survivors-like than I expected. Blighted from Drinkbox Studios looks wonderful, and is from the developers of Guacamelee and Nobody Saves the World. So you know there's some pedigree. And it's a beautiful looking action RPG. There's an interesting idea here where the more powerful you become, the more difficult enemies are, thereby keeping things from becoming too easy and stale. It looks like a fun time and worth keeping an eye on. Into the Unwell has some amazing cartoony visuals and a very wacky looking combat that could be fun. The movement is so smooth on the animations that I kind of just want to watch more of this. Hoping it's fun though, could be a good double feature with Mouse PI. End of Abyss looks so atmospheric, and it has the giant megastructure vibes of something like Metal Garden or Bleak, Faith Forsaken. An underrated horror atmosphere, and End of Abyss is taking full advantage of it. The monster designs look interesting and nightmarish, and even though it's an Epic exclusive, I do hope a Steam version comes soon after. I just don't use the Epic launcher much, even less to buy anything. There were 2 Metroidvanias that looked great, both incredibly gorgeous with a strong emphasis on movement and fluidity. Mio, Memories of Orbit from this name, has you explore a land overrun with machines. Expect some intense platforming and combat. I do love a good hook shot in a game. Also, I see they developed a game Shady Part of Me from 2020. I have it in my library but never played it. Guess now is as good a time as any to try it. Possessors is not based off the Cronenberg movie, but instead another gorgeous game from Heart Machine. And considering how much I can rave about Solar Ash, I really look forward to this one. Visuals are slick and movement looks flashy and precise. Very excited to play this. Mixtape seems like the kind of game that's impossible to stream. A slice of life adventure game with a stacked soundtrack that just looks great. I'm sure critics will rave over it, but I'll probably never play it. Mina the Hollower got another trailer, and the release date finally revealed. On Halloween, we can finally play the newest Yacht Club games that isn't just another Shovel Knight spin-off. It looks great, music is wonderful, and I can't wait to give it a try. Out of Words is a co-op platform with amazing stop-motion graphics. It uses the tried and true inverted movement mechanic to create an interesting co-op experience. It looks wonderful, just sad that it's an Epic exclusive, which means a lot of PC gamers might miss out on this one. Fractured Blooms is an interesting looking horror game where the mundane and supernatural mix in a terrifying way. While it's also another well-trodden route of mixing work with scary, if done well, it's always a fan favorite. So maybe keep an eye on this one. But also, go play Groon if you haven't, and you like this sort of thing, because Groon is food. There were also some big titles shown. Onimusha still looks good, minus the terrible misplaced voice acting. I've never seen Capcom miss this hard. And while I love the franchise, I really wanted something closer to Onimusha 1 than the newer title's big adventure and heavy combat focus, but it still looks good. I own both Jurassic World Evolution games, but I've never put a second into either of them. Even though I love dinosaurs. The third game looks great too. Might pick it up and never play it, just to complete the set. The Dying Light spin-off, The Beast, has more fast-paced action, bigger emphasis on guns this time, and being voiced by Chris Redfield makes this feel like an unofficial Resident Evil spin-off. Speaking of, we finally got the big reveal of Resident Evil 9. We're going back to Raccoon City. Where previous titles took from gothic horror and slasher films, Resident Evil 9 is either going back to zombies, or even better, the grungy, grimy world of serial killers, a la Condemned. Either way, I'm hyped, and I'm always up to jump back into this franchise. Now, onto the more negative side of the Summer Games Fest. Games that I have some suspicions about. Infinitesimals is an amazing looking big action adventure, where you play a small alien finding himself on Earth, but not as we know it. Visually stunning, and the combat looks fast and intense. But the studio has no prior games, and while this could be as good as it looks, I tend to be cautious when something amazing comes out of nowhere. I've been proven wrong before, but hey, what's wrong about erring on the side of caution? Atomic Heart 2, finally, the sequel to a game that quite a few people have positive thoughts on. I liked it well enough, but found the voice acting, story, and just overall experience to be either mid or just a bit lackluster. I heard some good things about the DLC though. The trailer for Atomic Heart 2 looks eclectic to say the least, with a lot of gameplay elements and jumping around locations that don't feel at all cohesive. And while the previous game seemed to be a grab bag of a bunch of elements all hastily pasted together, they still sort of fit in a weird mishmash way, but this trailer felt off. We also need to remember how amazing the trailers for the first game looked before it was released. The final product was much different, and in some ways, even less than what was promised. I do wonder how much of this trailer is just elements taken from their spin-off that's coming out as well. The Cube is Mundfish looking at the Descendants and saying, "Needs more boobs and butts." Reminds me of Dr. Mephisto from South Park. Behold, the many-assed baboon. If that's what you want, more power to you, but I don't mess with multiplayer games anymore, so it's a pass for me. Lastly is Ill. I don't believe this game exists. If it actually releases and is good, then call me a fool, but the more they show it off, the less real it looks. There have been some investigations by other YouTubers into this company to further prove this, but until I see multiple people play this, then I refuse to believe this game is real. It's a really good cinematic though, lots of great ideas. I'd love to see it in a game someday. Whoa, this video's been going almost as long as the actual showcase. So let's end it off with some Souls-likes that got shown off. Wu Chang Fallen Feathers is another in a long line of Chinese set Souls-likes, and it looks gorgeous. Combat is more Sekiro, and as a fan, I'm in for that. Code Vein is getting a sequel. I have that one friend who's very excited for that. It looks more like a spectacle fighter, so Code Vein 2 is trying to bridge that very thin gap between those two genres. It looks visually stunning, a big improvement over the first, and I hope it keeps the fun combat, but cuts down a bit on the weird story pacing and long dialogue scenes. Those didn't really grab me in the first one. I do love the weird candle face looking girl though. Cool design. Finally, we have Mortal Shell 2, which looks completely up my alley. The first game was alright, but never set my world alight. But the sequel seems to have taken inspiration from Doom and made you the Slayer. Combat looks brutal, with wonderful executions, fun weapons, and some unique looking enemies. I love the giant blobfish and spearface guy. I'm glad it's not an Epic Store exclusive again. It could be really something special. Combat is not constrained by stamina anymore, instead focusing on strong strikes and bringing down your opponent as fast and as brutal as possible. The only one they fear now is you. I know I'm putting my hopes on it, but I do like the idea of a Doom Souls game. It has a nice ring to it. This was something new for me. Really burned the keyboard oil writing this one, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like or subscribe for more indie content. Let me know what games stood out for you, and what you can't wait to play. Mortal Shell 2 looks so cool. I hope there's a demo soon, But until then, have a great day, and see you all next time. Goodbye.